We are talking about an interview and then folk finance. Timecodes in the description below. Today's episode airs on the 7th of July, on the 7th month of the year 2022. That's important to bring up because of one specific fact. As shown on the screen, yours truly is being interviewed on behalf of cryptomagazine.digital. This was something completely different for me on so many fronts. While I can't say if the new episode of the digital magazine will be live at exactly the same moment this video airs, the link will be in the description below so you can DYOR. And speaking of DYOR, if you're looking to expand on your network of ideas related to blockchain and cryptocurrency, then I suggest just giving the magazine a look over to see if anything stands out at you. One last thing before we get into today. I've had a few people reach out to me about joining them on either a show, podcast, or printed magazine. Are you a subscriber to the channel, spinning up a project, or want to have something take center stage in an episode on Unusual Due Diligence? I'm here to help. After all, you, and that's spelled Y-O-U, might be the next breakout star. What I'll say is this: I am totally open to the conversation. All you need to do is contact me. There are two ways to get that done. One is you can dig up my email here on YouTube, which is in the About tab. Two, you can just direct message me, DM me on Twitter. If I don't respond right away, it's not because I'm ignoring you, but rather because it takes me a little while to go through all the messages. After all, I do have channel research to conduct too. Okay, before we jump into an initial review of folk finance, let me just remind you, the interview with cryptomagazine.digital will be linked in the description below. If you follow me on Twitter, you might get that information first. After all, it takes me about 3 days to produce these videos. What videos? I'm glad you asked. Welcome to Unusual Due Diligence. I am your host, the mighty, earth-shaking, and ancient god of the sea, Poseidon, and whose spirit animates me, the talking milkshake. In today's fresh episode, we take a surface-level swim of a decentralized app, or dApp, known as folk finance. Here's how that goes. The Algorand governance period is starting up what's known as Period 4. If you're holding Algorand on Coinbase, you should be aware that the awards for participating in the governance period, as well as the decisioning, are done for you by Coinbase themselves. While Coinbase is an on-ramp for many people as a money chain service, having your money chain service also collect those rewards doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It'd be the equivalent of letting the currency exchange service at the airport hold onto your bank account and then let them decide on your behalf how things should work related to your money. The specific way the Algorand governance works is that the Algorand wallet, known as Pera, P-E-R-A, is Italian for the food pear. That's P-E-A-R. And pears are allegedly good for you. Did you know, quote, pears are a powerhouse fruit packing fiber, vitamins, and beneficial plant compounds. These nutrients are thought to fight inflammation, promote gut and heart health, protect against certain diseases, and even aid in weight loss. Just be sure to eat the peel, as it harbors many of this fruit's nutrients, end quote. There's many small details around folk finance that amuse me. Let me just name off 3 today. First, I've seen feedback on Algorand videos that my speculation that Algorand isn't as tightly coupled to the world of Italy as I claim it might be. After all, one of my bold claims is that Italy will one day claim Algorand as a source of national pride in the next 10 years or so, or that it's important to look for Algorand news in Italian specifically. So when I saw that folk finance, which provides a governance platform for Algorand, has this statement at the footer of the website, I had this Cheshire grin. For those who can't see it, I'll read it off now. It says, quote, powered by blockchainitalia.io, end quote. And so if you pull that website up, you'll see this website like what's now shown on the screen, which is fully in Italian and features a, quote, all chips on Algorand, end quote, approach. Oh, one last note. The CEO of Folk Finance is Benedetto Biondi. An interesting question then is to consider the CEO of the Algorand Foundation, who lives in Washington, D.C., and is tightly wound into the inner circle of the U.S. government, and all the European financial market counterparts are in Italy. That's quite an interesting story for another time. Second involves the backers, and while that Italian story is interesting, the next part I found is even more interesting, as someone waiting for Solana to crash, show in the news again. Solana is backed by the very large bank accounts of Jump Crypto, which when you see Jump is also listed here as one of the backers of Folk Finance, well, that's just a strong reminder that the true whales of the blockchain industry aren't here just to win with one blockchain, but all of them. Third, this one is pure speculation. speculation, but one I'm thinking about. Channel subscribers know my three big topics of coverage this year, 2022, are Algorand, AMP token, and Anchor, as part of the AAA play. Anchor introduced me to Algorand by way of an Anchor PR announcement of them adding yet another chain to the blockchain platform. And I found Anchor by researching the AMP token. It's a remarkably small world that we live in. So here's the speculation. AMP token and Blockchain Italia end up in the news together. BlockchainItalia.io, that powers the Folk Finance app, are specifically about lending and borrowing. So why would the AMP token show up there? Well, it's because if you Google AMP token and the word lending, then you see this. Quote, "It's easy to build apps that lock and unlock AMP on demand to secure transfers, enable lending, and make value move more quickly, extensible and open source." End quote. And when we see AMP token take flight outside the United States, adopted by more firms like this Blockchain Italia.io, that's when you realize the future is very bright. Will all this come to pass? It's hard to say, but I do know this. This is Unusual Due Diligence. I am your host, Poseidon, and today's fresh episode, I shared with you information about an interview with cryptomagazine.digital, Italian blockchain service, Folk Finance, and even speculation have all this threads together with channel favorite AMP token. Make waves, my friends.